This episode is rated M for mature audiences. The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of the PFC Entertainment Network or any of the affiliates that make this show possible.
This is the Pure Fury Creations Entertainment Network.
From the gridiron to the ball diamonds, from the hardwood to the ice rinks, from the fairways to the octagon and everywhere in between. If it makes headlines, it's fair game on the Sports Reel podcast on the PFC Entertainment Network. And we do welcome you to the Sports Reel podcast here on the PFC Entertainment Network, along with Tim Sheridan. I am Jason Klaus. We certainly appreciate you tuning in here this week. And right out of the gate, allow me to issue a public apology for not being able to do the show last week. My personal schedule was in disarray. Tim has been working his ass off. It just was not able to happen last week. I do apologize to our listeners who do look forward to this show. This is not going to be a reoccurring theme here, I can assure you. But with that, we did miss a tremendous, a week worth of a lot of headlines, a lot of news across the world of sports. Obviously, a lot of news coming out of the NFL, but we do need to make mention that the Los Angeles Dodgers did in fact win the World Series. If you're not in the loop, and if you're not, I don't understand why, but be that as it may. The Dodgers pulled it out here, Tim. 4-1. Yep. Dominant front right. I mean, except for that one hiccup in Game 4, like it was theirs for the taking. So the Dodgers are the champions of Major League Baseball this year. We kind of called it.
Yeah, and I mean that's the way I was hoping it would go because fuck the Yankees. But yeah, I actually watched games 4 and 5 because obviously it was on nights that the NFL wasn't on. So I mean it was the World Series. Had to sit back and watch it. Both good games. Game 5 was, I think, the best game of the series. That was so back and forth. It was exciting. Even not being a fan of either team, it was still exciting baseball to watch. So it was a lot of fun. Glad to see the Dodgers won. Hopefully they don't do it next year. They can get that in there and get it done with. And, let's see a rise in the Tigers next season.
Right. I'm really hoping that we're not going to see the start of a dynasty. That would just be on the National League side of things. You know what I mean? Because like the Yankees have been a dynasty off and on since pretty much the inception of Major League Baseball. I don't like dynasties. You know what I mean? I don't. Probably because I've never been a fan of a team that's been that good. You know what I mean? Like the Chiefs, they're with the way things are trending with them, they could become the next NFL dynasty here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I can appreciate that, but they're not a team that I'm going to run out and buy a bunch of merchandise for. That's just
no. I gotcha.
Which, by the way, I do appreciate your apparel ensemble this week.
Still go for the only undefeated team in football. 8-0. I was waiting to see your. I called out online there. Where's your Carolina gear? They won a game this past week.
You know what? What's funny about that? I saw that post yesterday, and I was like, "Oh, I need to make sure I pull my Panthers hat out." And then when I was, I got out of the shower today, I was thinking about what I was going to wear for work because as soon as I'm done here, I got to fly and go to my shoot job. But we're observing Veterans Day here tonight, and they wanted us to wear
Okay.
camouflage, and like it was just. I don't know. I saw the hat. I'm like, all right, this is what I'm wearing. And then I sat down here and I sent you the link. I'm like, fuck. I forgot the Panthers hat. I am happy. I was happy, that they they were able to pull a win out. I do not have a graphic ready for week 9 scoreboard, but we can run down the gambit real quick. We saw the New York Jets with a 21-13 win over the Texans last Thursday night. Panthers over the Saints 23-22. Washington over the Giants 27-22. Buffalo over Miami 30-27. Chargers over the Browns 27-10. We saw Tennessee over the Patriots 20-17. Atlanta Falcons. This was the feel-good moment. That was not, involving the Lions or the Panthers for me. 27-21 win over the Dallas Cowboys. The Bengals with a big 41-24 win over the Raiders. 41-10 was the score when Baltimore beat the Broncos. The Cardinals beat the Bears 29-9. The Eagles over the Jaguars 28-23. That was a closer game than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
The Rams over the Seahawks 26-20. The Lions over the Packers in Green Bay 24-14. Vikings 21-13 winners over the Colts, and then we saw the Chiefs winning over the Buccaneers 30-24. Clearly, the Lions are prominently on our radar here. A big win in Green Bay over the Packers. What are your takeaways from this game?
If you watch that game, just pure dominance.
Yeah.
They held the Packers to nothing until they started running soft coverage and let them score one. It was, other than that game, it was a weather game too. Pouring down rain. They thought they'd have the advantage over the Lions, because the Lions apparently don't play well in weather. Goff's not good in weather. Goff was damn near perfect again. I think he went 20 for 24. They won. He only threw for 145, one touchdown. Monty got 73 rushing yards. Amon-Ra, 56 yards, one touchdown. But they did enough to shut down Green Bay. It was mostly a ground game for the most part. Only 24 passes. I do have to say something. I know we missed last week, and I earlier this season, I was talking some shit on this thing about the Broncos and how Bo Nix win a game, and they won a game with him only throwing 60 yards. And I'm like, how the fuck do you win a game throwing 60 yards?
Yeah.
Well, the previous week against the Titans, Goff went for like 80 yards, and they put up 52 points in that game, 42 or 52.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It was just some astronomical number. So now I understand. I apologize, Bo Nix. My public apologies. It's possible. But even at 145, they gave up some yards to Love. He threw for 273. Jacobs ran for 95, and Reed stood out 113 yards passing, but it still wasn't enough to get him in the end zone until they started running soft coverage. Right now, I do have to say, I know I'm all in my Chiefs gear right now, but I'm a Lions fan through and through, die hard. The Lions are the best fucking football team in the NFL right now.
Yes,
they have the best offense in the league. They have one of the best defenses. They're playing at a clip that no other team is playing at. They are the best team in the NFL, and Jared Goff is currently the MVP of this league. This guy has more touchdowns still to this day than he has incompletions. It's unheard of. Even just listening to that game the other day, Tom Brady was on there, and he was talking. He's like, it's unprecedented what he's doing. It's almost impossible how good this team is playing. Like, it's crazy. Goff is standing out this year. And right now, I don't know a team other than maybe the Ravens, but the Ravens have shown some weakness against teams like Cleveland. I don't really know of a team that can actually match up against the Lions this year.
That statement unto itself You're not the only one who has uttered that. Thousands upon thousands of people that live in this state alone, not including the ones
I'm hearing it
that
outside
live.
the state now too. Yeah,
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
you're hearing
This
it
has
on
become
ESPN. You're
America's
hearing
team.
it. Yeah,
Anytime I said this a couple of weeks ago. Anytime you are number one on Stephen A. Smith's power rankings, you're doing something, because that dude is the most
yeah.
critical analyst there is in all of sports. Like which I'll
Yeah.
get to him in a little bit, because I will get to him in a little bit. But the fact
Yeah.
that the Detroit Lions are being called by all of the talking heads, all of the reputable ones. Pat McAfee, I listened to his show. This dude just will not stop raving about the Lions. And this, a couple of years ago, this was not a thing. Dude, for how long were the Lions the punchline of jokes on late night talk shows? Letterman and Leno, and especially in 08, with the 0-16 season. Here we are, and the Lions are favored to, not only at this point right now where we sit, not only are they favored to win the NFC, they are favored to actually win the fucking Super Bowl. This is something that you and I,
Yeah.
and as lifelong fans, have waited our entire lives for. It almost seems like a dream. Like, is this real? Is this real life? Which it is. And
I mean, I feel it's real life.
I don't know. I just can't believe this is where we're at right now.
Yeah.
And the other thing.
You look at the build. I mean,
No, go ahead.
go ahead. Okay, I was just saying. I mean, you look at it.
Something about the Bills.
No, we're like, just so anybody know, we're kind of getting a little lost. We're kind of got a little bit of technical issues going on right now. I don't know if you're getting that on your side, cutting in and out a little bit
of a hiccup,
but
yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's not really that unprecedented to think of the situation they're in, because you saw the slow build of them. You went from first year with Dan Campbell, not the greatest start to a year, but comes back and has a winning season. Or no, that was his second year. I think his first year they went 3 and something, didn't they?
I think so,
second
yeah.
year gets a winning season. Third years ago to the NFC Championship, and now it's the way they're playing. I didn't see them playing this well. Like, something's changed in this team this year, and I'm not sure if it's them just being stubborn and going, we need to play a lot better, and this can be all of ours because we have it in us. I don't know. Like, they're unbelievable how good they're so explosive. And I know I keep saying that every week, but this team is the most explosive team in the NFL right now. They're so fun to watch. I mean, I don't see anybody slowing them down. Unless they have a hiccup somewhere along the line or they start falling off, I don't see anybody slowing them down this season. This team is ridiculous.
They had a hiccup in the Hutchinson injury. That could have derailed them. We talked about that.
It could have, but it didn't slow them down at all. Yeah.
No. If anything, it reinvigorated something within this team. Like, they're now playing for him too. And it was cool as fuck to see him in Ford Field cheering on the team, and the reception that he got when they put him up on the screen. It's, man, I told Jim Burgett not all that long ago, the entire culture of this football team and what it's doing to the city and the state, as well, actually the entire fucking league at this point. The Detroit Lions are the darlings of the NFL right now. Everybody is paying attention to them. And they're not just going in to win. They're going in to kick your ass. At the end of 60 minutes, you were in a football game with the Lions. They fucked you up in ways you didn't see coming. And that's the beautiful part, or the brilliance of Dan Campbell and the coordinators, because they have all kinds of tools. And bro, they're playing chess when everybody else is on a checkerboard right now.
Yeah.
And it's
Well,
awesome.
I think that's got to do with the fact too that everybody they're honestly what you're hearing a lot of, and you heard it from Green Bay before this game started. The Lions are kind of becoming the enemies of the NFL. Like everybody's starting to hate on them, especially other teams, because it seems like they go in and they try to embarrass these teams. But I don't think it's technically that they're trying to embarrass. The Lions have been fucked for so many years by bad calls and bad situations that in these close games that they're just like, we're not letting this happen anymore. We're not going to let these games be close anymore. We're just going to keep fucking scoring. You're not going to stop until the end of the fourth quarter and you finally nail that ball down, and this game is over. They're 110 miles an hour from the start of that game to the finish of that game. And that's why I think they're completely unstoppable. There's not a whole lot of game management in a lot of these games anymore. It's just you get the ball, you score. You get the ball, you score. You get the ball back, you score. Whether you're getting a punt return, they're going to give everything they have to try to get into the end zone. It doesn't matter. It's just nonstop scoring to not only take any mistakes out of the game, because mistakes are going to happen, but if you get out far enough, those mistakes don't hurt you. You take bad calls out of the game. You're not going to be affected by those bad calls if you're up by 30.
Right.
It's one of those things. And I think that's the mentality they're playing with, and they're getting a little heat for it, but I really don't care. It's exciting. If teams letting them score 50 on them, that's their fucking problem. It's not ours.
I was just going to say, that sounds like a them problem that they're going to have to figure out,
Yeah.
I mentioned real quick before I lose this train of thought, mentioned Stephen A. Smith. And, if anybody who doesn't pay attention to what he does over on ESPN, he is one of the most polarizing analysts in all of sports. Like, he is unapologetic and very raw in his opinion. I never liked this dude, but I was entertained by him. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I wouldn't necessarily turn him off, but I wouldn't seek him out either. This rivalry that he has with the Dallas Cowboys fan base is some of the most entertaining shit. Bro, his TikTok videos are something of comedy gold, and it's nothing more than the camera on the TV with the final score. It slowly comes to, on his face, and he just busts out laughing, and it's a legitimate fucking laugh. And I appreciate that so much, because I'm not a Dallas fan, but just the fact that he is able to take something like that, and he knows what he's doing. He's trolling, you know what I mean? But he's getting such a reaction out of it, and the entertainment part of it is absolutely brilliant, and I love it so much. Are you a fan of this guy?
To an extent. I'm a fan of him more now that he's actually one of the first voices that stepped up and said that Detroit Lions are something special. Like
he and Rex Ryan.
When a lot of people are still shitting on him, he's the first one to come out and go, no, this is a fucking special team. You have to watch out for these guys. And now he's just, I think 3 weeks in a row now he's had them as the number one team in the NFL.
Yeah.
And it's not even close. Like the Chiefs have a better record. They're still undefeated, but you still can't, Chiefs aren't better than the Lions right now. The Chiefs are playing smart football and they're winning games, but they're not the best team in the NFL. And, I'm a Chiefs fan, and I can say that the best team is the Lions, but I give him a lot more respect now that he's showing respect in a way to a team that has earned that respect, and he's one of the first people to do it. So I like him. I like his intensity too when he's announcing those top 5 in the NFL every week. Like he gets down. Yeah.
I appreciate that
but,
too.
Yeah, he's pretty good. And speaking of the Lions, real quick, I want to throw this in. I'm going to run through a list here in a little bit of all the trade deadline or the stuff that happened
Yeah.
up till the trade deadline. But before we do that, I'll go over the Chiefs game. But I want to say, I mean, the Lions just got even better. I'm waiting to see because they traded. We'll get into the exact details of the trading, but they got their defensive end, and he could pick up good trade value. I think he's going to help out a lot. I think he's going to do really, really well in this defense, especially with the interior pressure that we're already getting on the quarterback. It's only going to open them up. I think he's going to have an amazing season with us, and it's really going to help cement that defense to be one of the probably top 3 defenses in the league just with that one pickup. I know Hutch is gone, and you'll never be able to replace Hutch, and I hope Hutch heals up quick and he can get back for a Super Bowl. But that was a huge pickup for the Lions. I'm excited to see how it kind of pans out this week alone, this weekend against Houston.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I don't dial into a lot of individual players unless it comes across the main headlines, and then I'll start doing some research on it. You know what I'm saying? But and with everything that I had been going on, I hadn't really been paying attention to the sports headlines in terms of the trade deadline and things of this nature. And I wasn't really overly worried about it because I knew you were.
Yeah.
I knew we would have it covered here. But when the announcement was made that this transaction, for the lack of a better term, went down, a lot of optimism with the Detroit Lions fan pages that pop up on my social media feeds, that because there's a writer or two on these pages that I respect the way they write, I respect their opinion on stuff, and like for all accounts this was a good move for the Lions and has more than improved their chances of making a deep post-season run. That's all I'll say about it. So to get that kind of because I know you dial in with the inner workings with a lot of these players, and if you're getting a stamp of endorsement from somebody like you that has your finger on the pulse, then clearly, number one, this was a good move. Number two, maybe the Lions should consider you for a front office position, is all I'm saying.
Oh, no, I wouldn't have the time for that. I wouldn't be able to watch enough football at that point. It'd be nothing but Lions. Yeah, maybe. No, I just think, when this all came down, he wasn't my first pick originally. I had said who my first pick was, who I really wanted them to get, which was Hassan Reddick, but that didn't work out. He ended up sticking with the Jets. But he was probably in my top 3 to go, and it was based on value. And I had talked about that before. You didn't want to give up the farm to pick somebody up, so you're looking for the right pick. And I think he's going to be a really good fit in our defense. He's a Pro Bowl defensive end. 2 years ago, he was in the Pro Bowl. He's a really good damn defensive end. I still think he's got whole another year on his contract, so it's something that's going to transition in next year. Having him the opposite side of Hutchinson, that's going to be an amazing thing for next year also. And when I go down the list, I'll give you the details of the trade, but I think it was excellent trade value. We didn't have to give up a shit ton to get a Pro Bowl defensive end, and I'm super happy about it. It was exactly the type of player that I wanted to see fit. He's 32. I said I wanted somebody who was a little bit older, that maybe has 1 or 2 years left on their contract. You're not going to have to give up a shit ton to get them, and everybody's saying, go get Crosby, go get Myles Garrett. We're not going to give up 3 first-round picks to pick somebody up. It's not feasible. You're going to get somebody. We're still winning games even without a defensive end, but a defensive end is going to make us even better. If you're still winning games, why give up that much value to pick somebody up when you don't need that much value? You're crushing teams right now. You're still getting an insane amount of interior pressure. You're still getting 4 or 5 sacks a game. Now you can push this number to possibly 6, 7 sacks a game, depending on which offensive line. And I really think that's a possibility this coming up weekend against Houston. Houston has a shit offensive line. It's shit. I mean, I anticipate that this weekend they're going to get at least, I'd say, a minimum of 5 sacks. You know, the last week, not this past week, but the week before, the week that we missed, CJ Stroud was sacked 8 times in the game. That's how bad their offensive line is. So this opens up to where you might see big numbers of sacks this coming up weekend with him. I mean, depending on how much they run him into the scheme, it's pretty plug and play position. You know, you stick him at the end and say fucking kill the quarterback. How much? I mean, there's not a lot of schemes that play with that position. You're just pretty much, you know, set them loose and let them go and let them eat. But if you're getting that much interior pressure, putting somebody a Pro Bowl defensive end down there, it's. I mean, if we get half of the production out of him that we were getting out of Hutch, that's a win. And I think we'll get more than half. You know, I don't know if we'll get the full production, but at least 3/4 of the production. I mean, he instantly came here and he's second already on our team in sacks and pressures this season, and not even playing with us yet, just with his numbers that he had with Cleveland. So, I mean, that's big numbers compared to the edge rushers that we were trying to fill that spot with that were already on our team. So, I mean, it's a huge pickup. I'm excited. I think it's going to be huge this weekend against Houston. Houston's defense is kind of a little weak, and their offensive line sucks. You know, that should be another game that they eat them up, and I'm excited to see. Maybe, you know, Zadarius Smith goes out here this weekend and gets 4 sacks alone. Who knows? You know, have a big first game with the Lions. It'd be awesome to see.
Yeah. And what, 2 weeks ago, we went on this tangent about why aren't these games being flexed to put the Lions in prime time spots. Well, wouldn't you know it?
Yeah.
This Sunday, they're on Sunday Night Football on NBC, and they will be in Houston to play the Texans. So, and I guess this is supposed to be some degree of intimidation factor, but I read this afternoon, Houston is debuting their all red battle gear uniforms, so that'll be cute.
Yeah. I don't think it's gonna be much. I don't think the Lions get intimidated by shit. To be honest, I think teams are actually scared to go in and play them right now. You know, and we're gonna see. You know, this week we're not gonna be able to see it, but next week, you know, if the Lions. Have you heard this thing with the Lions hangover?
Yes. Isn't
like
it crazy?
And if Green Bay goes out now, I know they're on a bye this week, but if they go out next week and they lose their game, this holds. Every team has lost their very next game that has faced the Lions. Didn't matter if it was after a bye or not. Like, they always lose the next game.
Just for shits and giggles, I want to see who Green Bay is playing. Oh, the Bears. The week after their bye week. They're playing the Bears.
Who are they playing?
The Packers and the Bears.
I hope they get their ass kicked by the Bears. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay,
the Bears are kind of falling off now too. So.
Yeah, they are. You're really starting to see how this is going to shape up here in the later weeks of the season. Week 11. You know, we're coming into week 10 this week. Next week, Packers, Bears in Chicago. The Lions have the Jaguars that week. So that's, and then Vikings are going to be playing in Tennessee against the Titans. So Detroit and Minnesota are still going to be very much factored in here. You know, it really does come down to those two teams, right? Especially in the next couple of weeks here. I mean, unless something happens to where major upsets occur, I just don't see Jacksonville. I mean, we'll get into more of this next week. I know I'm looking ahead, but the way this is set up, you know, the Lions have an opportunity here to really start to set themselves apart from the rest of the pack. but god damn it, the way
Yeah.
Minnesota's schedule is shaping up, take nothing away from the Titans, but they're not going to be they're not a powerhouse team. Could they pull an upset off? Sure they could.
No, not at all.
But
Yeah.
again, that's next week. Let's look ahead real quick while we're talking about Week 10 and look at the schedule on tap here. It does start this Thursday with Thursday Night Football. The Cincinnati Bengals will be in Baltimore to play the Ravens. And then the early games on Sunday, overseas, very early in the morning, you will see the Giants and the Panthers. You will also see the New England Patriots taking on the Chicago Bears. The 49ers will be in Tampa Bay to play the Buccaneers. The Chiefs will host the Broncos. The Buffalo Bills will be in Indianapolis to play the Colts. The Pittsburgh Steelers will be in Washington to play the Commanders. I'm looking forward to that game. The Vikings and Jaguars this week. Falcons and the New Orleans Saints. And then the late games, we will see the Los Angeles Chargers hosting the Titans, Arizona, and Jets. Cowboys hosting the Eagles. And then Sunday Night Football, we just talked about it, the Lions in Houston. And then on Monday Night Football, we will see the Miami Dolphins at the Los Angeles Rams. And that is Week 10 of the NFL schedule. What's that?
The
Miami
Rams.
Yeah.
Miami. It'll be a good game. The Rams are starting to come along pretty good, too. They're starting to look pretty good.
And I really want Miami to do something. They've always kind of been one of my low-key teams that I do cheer for, and especially with Tua and all the controversy and the surroundings. Should they let him play? Is he going to play? He is going to play, and it's like shit, man. Like I would love to see this team get on some solid ground because it seems like they have been on shifting sand for a minute here. Primetime game, Monday Night Football. The Rams, like you said, starting to come into their own. Matthew Stafford, obviously, you can't take anything away from him. So, I mean, aside from the Lions game, the Chiefs game, is there any other games on the schedule that you're looking forward to? I feel like probably Cowboys and Eagles are going to be the game of the week on Fox. I'm hoping not, but I kind of feel like that's where it's going to trend. What other games are you looking forward to this weekend?
Definitely that one. That's a big divisional matchup, and the Eagles have been they're starting to come in their own too, and they're starting to look really good. So I'm trying to pull up the thing again. Obviously, the Steelers and Commanders, that's going to be a really good game. Steelers look really good this year. Their defense is probably one of the best in the league, and Russell Wilson is not looking bad. Obviously, Commanders, I think, is probably the biggest threat to the Lions in the NFC. I don't know. They've shown a little weakness against other teams. I mean, they have 2 losses. One of them against the Ravens. I mean, the Ravens are playing lights out football this year too, just like the Lions are. So that's going to be a good game because that's 2 of the better teams in the NFL right now. Keep your eye on the Vikings, Jaguars, Falcons, Saints. Falcons have been fun to watch. Kirk Cousins, that guy is so good. And I mean, I've said this before. I really like Kirk Cousins as a person. He's just a genuine good guy. 49ers, Buccaneers, that's going to be a good game. Baker Mayfield, that guy's fun to watch too. I didn't like watching him last week because, he was facing my Chiefs and he took them, right down to the end of the field and caused an overtime game. But he's a good quarterback and he's really starting to fit in his own down there in Tampa. Tampa's a dangerous team. I'm still tossed up. I still think they might be a playoff team this year. I'm not sure if the 49ers are going to be. It all depends if they can turn it around. Bills are playing. I always enjoy watching the Bills. They're playing the Colts. Josh Allen's fun. I'll probably watch that one. I'm sick of watching fucking the Jets. Every
I
fucking
am with
primetime
you.
game seems to be the Jets. So over it. Just
I am totally with you on that. I am sick of. And here's the other thing. I mentioned Pat McAfee's show a little bit ago. Aaron Rodgers was on there the other day, and
yeah,
McAfee asked him what his opinion was of the NFC North and the way everything has shaped up, and with Detroit on top right now. Bro, they would have had an easier time pulling teeth out of that dude's head than to give the Lions any kind of credit, especially Goff. Like once he got into it, like he did, give him a couple of flowers, but you could tell he has such a disdain for the Detroit Lions. But my other thing is, bro, you need to calm the fuck down because you are not playing at an elite level right now. You are, calm down. There's something weird happening within Aaron Rodgers' head. Like there's some sort of miswiring happening. Like I don't know. You said the
you think
Jets.
he's just done too many psychedelics and it fucking rewired his brain?
For sure.
Too many trips down to Brazil to.
He's goofy.
That guy, he's outrageous. Yeah. I mean, it's still Aaron Rodgers. I got to give him respect. He's one of the best to ever do it. And I mean, I understand his disdain for Detroit. It's the same reason why we have disdain for him for being in Green Bay for all those years. We hate Green Bay also. But yeah, he's just lost his mind. That guy, he's out there.
Yeah, he's goofy as shit. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I'm just sick of seeing
the other headline
because that team fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Not any really headlines, but I did want to run down this list of the trades, kind of give an idea because, I mean, trade deadline was yesterday. It's Wednesday now. The show will drop sometime tomorrow on Thursday, but some decent trades. Some people got a little bit more dangerous. The Baltimore Ravens traded Carolina for wide receiver Deontay Johnson. They get Deontay Johnson, a 2025 sixth-round pick, and they only had to give up a 2025 fifth-round pick. So that's a big pickup for them at a receiver level. Did they need another receiver? I don't know. Maybe. They got a few down there already. They're going to look good. Some of these we've already been over. I think by the couple weeks ago we had talked about DeAndre Hopkins went to Kansas City. I forgot to go over Kansas City game this year, but DeAndre Hopkins was a big part of it. He ended up with, I think, 2 touchdowns that game. So he's fitting in there really nice. Big pickup for the Chiefs. They only had to give up a 2025 conditional 5th-round draft pick for him. So that's a pretty good trade-off for, a Pro Bowl wide receiver. I think they did more of a favor for Hopkins there, giving him up than they did for themselves. We went over the Amari Cooper trade a couple weeks ago to Buffalo. Detroit Lions picked up Zadarius Smith from the Cleveland Browns. They got Zadarius Smith and a 2026 7th-round draft pick, and they had to give up a 2025 5th round and a 2025 6th round. So essentially, it was a pick swap for 2026. So they really gave up a 2025 5th round. And the other benefit of that trade was they had already paid Zadarius Smith for the year up front in signing bonus, converted all his salary over to signing bonus. So it's only costing us like $800,000 to have him for the rest of the season. So big win for Detroit. It's pretty much a 5th-round draft pick, and $800,000. So for a Pro Bowl defensive end, that's why I said I was really high on this trade. They really didn't give up a whole lot of anything for him. You know what I mean? A pick swap and a 5th-round pick and $800,000. I'm super high on that draft pick, and I think he's going to stand out really well here. Another one, Kansas City traded New England Patriots. Kansas City got linebacker Josh. I never get his name right. It's either Uche. I don't even know how to say his name. But they gave up a 2026 sixth-round draft pick. He looked really good the other night. His first game was the other night. He looked good. We went over the Devontae Adams a couple weeks ago. That one isn't a surprise. Pittsburgh Steelers received Mike Williams from the New York Jets. Really good wide receiver. They only had to give up a 2025 fifth-round draft pick for him. Huge pickup for the Steelers. AJ, I'm not going to complain about that at all. Steelers are already dangerous. That's going to be really big for them. Mike Williams, he kind of got cut out of the spotlight with the Devontae Adams trade, kind of pushed him down the depth chart, and I think this is going to help him stay pretty relevant this year. He's a damn good receiver. Another one, this was a big trade. Washington Commanders, they picked up Marshawn Lattimore from the New Orleans Saints. He is a lights-out cornerback. They got him and a 2025 fifth-round draft pick. It cost them, I think, a decent amount to get him. They gave up a 2025 third round, a 2025 fourth round, and a 2025 sixth round draft pick to get him. For a lights-out corner, if you need help in that situation, I talked a little bit ago how I thought their defense was a little soft. This is going to help kind of boost them up to make them a stronger team to compete in the NFC. Another one, Cardinals got some more defensive help. They picked up Baron Browning from Denver for a 2025 sixth-round draft pick. Cincinnati picked up a running back. They got Khalil Herbert from Chicago for a 2025 seventh-round draft pick. It's not like a season-changing pickup, but they needed running back help there. Obviously, Chicago's already got DeAndre Swift. They don't need that much depth, so they're able to pick up a draft pick there. Minnesota Vikings, one of their starting tackles went out hurt. They went and picked up Cam Robinson from the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was Cam Robinson, and they got a 2026 conditional seventh-round draft pick in trade for a 2026 conditional fifth-round draft pick. So essentially, it was a pick swap, and they got Cam Robinson. So I really think Minnesota did really well in that trade. It's going to help them kind of tighten up that offensive line. Another one, Steelers went out and picked up more defensive help, an outside linebacker, Preston Smith from Green Bay for a 2025 seventh-round draft pick. 49ers picked up a defensive tackle, Khalil Davis from Houston, and gave up a 2026 seventh-round draft pick. Seattle went and picked up a defensive end, Roy Robertson Harris, for a 2026 sixth-round draft pick. I think we went over the Cam Akers trade. Minnesota received Cam Akers back. He was only gone for like 6 months anyways for a sixth-round draft pick, or a pick swap, and Cam Akers. Seattle picked up this was a trade-off. Seattle got linebacker Ernest Jones. They traded with Tennessee. Tennessee in the trade got linebacker Jerome Baker and a 2025 fourth-round draft pick. So it's pretty much player swap with a pick. Another big one that I think I didn't even see this one yet. Some of these I haven't even seen yet, so I'm kind of reading them off for the first time. I think these were just done yesterday. Trade between Baltimore Ravens and the Los Angeles Rams. Baltimore received cornerback Tre'Davious White and a 2027 seventh-round draft pick. And the Los Angeles receives a 2026 seventh-round draft pick. I keep getting tied up because all these damn numbers, 2026, 76, 65, So that's more help for them. Cowboys picked up a wide receiver, Jonathan Mingo. They also got a seventh-round draft pick, 2025, for trade with Carolina that gave Carolina a 2025 4th-round draft pick. And that was all the trades this season. So I don't think there was any like huge like blockbuster trades. Maybe the Lattimore trade to the Saints was the most value given up for a player. I think everybody did pretty well. I think the biggest value was honestly to Kansas City with picking up DeAndre Hopkins. They needed that wide receiver help, and they got a Pro Bowl wide receiver, which I already stood out and had 2 touchdowns this last week. I think that was the biggest trade-off for, a conditional 5th or a conditional 6th, whatever I said it was. Trade value there. I mean, I think everybody got awesome trade value with all the trades going on. I think the biggest impacts on teams are probably going to be, and maybe this is sad to say, bad to say, but I think it's the Lions pick and the Chiefs picks. They're going to have the biggest impacts for those teams.
Well,
we'll see how they all play out.
When they represent their respective conferences going.
When they play the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. So. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
for sure.
That was
thank you for that
was
report.
all the trades this season. Didn't expect more.
And I was wondering if there was going to be that one big blockbuster that was going to really set the stage for the rest of the trade deadline. But like you said, there wasn't that big like holy shit, like this is like a total game changer. We didn't really see that this season, but
nobody even gave up a first round pick.
Right.
Usually see those big trades come through and somebody's dropping a couple first round picks to get somebody.
Yeah. Well, let's switch gears for a moment here and focus on the other professional sports teams that we have here locally in the state of Michigan. The Detroit Pistons are embarking on their season now. They are, as we record this on Wednesday evening, they are 4th in the Eastern Conference Central Division with a 3-5 record. They've only won, I think, 2 games at home so far. Their schedule is coming up here. They're going to be spending a lot of time at home this week as they come up. They are in Charlotte on Wednesday to play the Hornets, and then they will come home on Friday to play the Hawks. The Rockets will be here on Sunday and the Miami Heat on Tuesday. So it doesn't get any easier for the Pistons. They're not the worst league or the worst team in the league right now. That distinction goes to the Utah Jazz. They are currently 1-6. Now, very early on in the season. Let's not get it twisted. But the Cleveland Cavaliers are the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Oklahoma City Thunder right now are the only teams that are undefeated. And right now, obviously the Cavaliers are on top of the Central, but they're in top of the whole conference as it stands right here on Wednesday. Again, very early on in the season. Are you paying attention to the Pistons at all?
I have not yet, no. Besides, I flip through and see them on sometimes, but usually, it's nights that I'm watching football and I'm trying to zoom to a football game. So I haven't paid much attention. I need to start. The time's coming. Luckily, they'll kind of flow over after the football season, and they'll still be going, so I'll be able to spend a little bit more time watching them once football ends.
See, and that's how I am with the NHL. Like I will pay, like I'm paying attention to it, but I'm not diving into it until after football season is over, and then I'll really start paying attention to what's happening with the NHL. And as we mentioned, the NHL, that is of course Red Wings territory. Currently sitting in the 6th spot in the Atlantic Division with a 5-5-1 record, 11 points on the season. The Winnipeg Jets are the best team in the NHL right now with 24 points. The Wings, they spend the majority of this week on the road, with one exception on Saturday. Next Saturday, they will be here, or this Saturday, they will be home to play the Rangers. But they have games on Wednesday in Chicago, Friday against the Maple Leafs in Toronto, and then next Wednesday they play Pittsburgh and in Pittsburgh. So the Detroit Red Wings and Detroit Pistons, both teams are, they're still trying to figure it out. There's especially the Pistons, but there are strides, especially on the Red Wings side of things. There is a lot of hope. There's a lot of things that to be excited about, to be optimistic about. Are they going to return to the prominent Hockey Town era team that we had been used to? They're not quite there yet, but they're making the right moves. They're making the right strides, and I at this stage, unless something happens, I anticipate we're going to see the Red Wings in the playoffs this year, unless something catastrophic happens.
Yeah.
I don't know where you at with the Red Wings here. I again, a lot of our attention is focused on the NFL, and for obvious reasons. The Red
from
Wings,
what I'm hearing, is the Red Wings are supposed to have a. Oh, go ahead. We're getting laggy again. So
yeah. Please finish your thought.
Yeah. So yeah, from what I'm hearing, is the Red Wings are actually supposed to be pretty decent this year, and if experience tells us anything, to not doubt on a team in Detroit, because even if they're not looking good in the beginning of a season, you never know where they're going to end up at the end of the season. You don't have to be a very good team to go very far. I mean, we learned that this year with the Tigers. So at any time, anybody can get hot. And I know they have the talent on that team to do it. It's just putting the pieces together.
Well, we wanted to make mention of that. Make mention of the Pistons and the Red Wings, and we mention this, number one, not just because they're locally here in our state where Tim and I are based out of. The NBA and the NHL are a part of pop culture, the major sports organizations, and we don't want to be perceived like we don't care about these franchises or care about these sports, because we do. The fact of the matter is we only have X amount of time on any given week to really focus on sports, because both Tim and I have jobs, and we have families, we have things that require our attention. And I mentioned all that to say, if you are a fan of if you are a fan of the NBA, of the NHL,
Hi.
you want, hi Tim.
Sorry for leaving you. What the hell? Yeah.
I tried to no sell it. I tried to no sell it for those who are just listening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay, we lost him. Hopefully he'll be able to come back on. But I was just saying, I was making mention, again, if anybody out there is a diehard fan of either the NBA or the NHL, and you want to be a correspondent on our show to cover that sport, this is your invitation. Let us know. Get a hold of us through our social media pages, pfcnetwork.net, and we will get all the bells and whistles and get everybody on one page, because we want to shed appropriate light on both of these sports, both of these franchises. I made mention when we were off the air, Tim, I had something of a story, because a gentleman did reach out to me through the PFC page on Facebook, inquiring about being a part of the show, and we got into a conversation through. It actually wound up being a phone conversation. And at first, I was very hopeful. He had a very unique voice, and I'm like, okay, this. And he did present himself to be pretty knowledgeable. He was focusing
Okay.
on the Red Wings, and I'm like, okay, well, tell me about this, that, and the other thing. Where's your level of fandom? Blah blah blah. And so we were getting into it, and like I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna, before we make any choices here, I was like, I need to bring my co-host in on this because it's his show. Yeah, it's my network, but it's really his show, and we need to get you guys on camera at one time just to do a test run to make sure that things are going to flow. Well, yeah. Listen, I can only record, and this is where it was coming. I can only record on this day between this time and this time, and I'm asking for $50 an hour. You're asking for what?
This isn't a job.
I'm like,
Yeah.
$50 an hour for what? And he's like, to host your show. Host my show? I'm like, wait a minute. Let's pause. Let's take a time out here. Let's back up. At what point did I say something that led you to believe that we were paying you for this? Because I don't get paid for this. We do this because we love doing what we do. We love entertaining people. We love talking about sports. We love hanging out. We're buddies. We're not getting paid for this. When the show starts getting paid, then we'll get paid, which is, that is on the docket. It's not happening right now. And bro, you would have thought I was talking to Bob Costas. I am not even bullshitting, because he all of a sudden, like, the entire vibe of the conversation switched. Like, I'm supposed to be thankful that he gave me time out of his day to talk to me. Bro, you reached out to me. I didn't come to you. You know what I mean? You were in my inbox. So I tell that story because this is very important. In order for this to work, there has to be camaraderie, respect, and chemistry. If you don't have those things, it just ain't going to work. I don't care what you know. I don't care how smart and dialed in it. If we don't have that some unique chemistry of some degree, it's going to really resonate on the show, and I'm not willing to compromise that for anything. So if you want to be a team player, and you want to come here and have a good time with the mindset of having a good time, then fuck, let's do it. Let's build the show. But if you're coming into this thing thinking that you're doing me a favor, I don't give a fuck who you are. You ain't doing me no favor.
Let me ask you that.
Yeah. So I just found that to be kind of amusing. So there is.
Well, let me ask you:
Tim.
Is this somebody that
not
you
the
knew?
Kind of interest we want at this point.
Or how did he find our show?
Apparently, he listens to one of the wrestling shows.
So it's kind of a cross
and then
thing.
Found out or listened to one of our
because I thought it was funny.
Yeah, and he's like, "Well,
yeah, $50 an hour." But anyways, I thought it was funny.
Go ahead.
Speaking of like the show just getting out there, I called my mom one day, and I'm sitting there talking to her, and she's like, "You didn't tell me you were famous." I'm like, "Mom, what the hell are you talking about?" She's like, "I saw you on YouTube," and I'm like, "Okay, like context, please," because I've been on YouTube a bunch of times. If you want to find me on YouTube, if you know how, you can go on there and find me wrestling on YouTube. It's not a new thing that I'm on YouTube. I mean, I'm out there in a bunch of different matches wrestling. I'm like, what context are you talking about? She's like, you were on some podcast. I'm like, okay, more context. What was I talking about? Was it wrestling or was it sports? And she's like, sports. She's like, but you never told me I was famous. I was like, Mom. I was like, yes, I'm on a podcast. I was like, but Mom, I'm not famous. I'm like, I don't know what you saw. I was like, there's like 12 views on that video, Ma. And I was like, and 6 of them are probably you. Just rewatching the same video. I'm like, I'm not famous, but I thought it was funny. She's like, you didn't tell me you were famous. She just automatically assumed because I was on YouTube that, I was famous now. But it was kind of cool because I don't even know how. So it's showing that we're reaching out in different algorithms. Our show is kind of making its way out there because I don't know how else she would even have found me on YouTube because I don't have a YouTube account that I share videos to. You do it on the PFC network. So, it's got to be feeding into somebody's algorithm somehow or another. My mom just happened to be scrolling through YouTube and she apparently saw me and she sat down and watched one of our entire episodes and she said, I have a potty mouth. So I have to be better in that era. I'm like, well, then you really don't want to listen to Amy's podcast.
Well, then she must love me.
I was like, don't listen to Amy's. I was like, that she her show drops every other Saturday here on the PFC Network. It's called The Real Podcast. But yeah, I thought that was funny. It's cool that it's cool that we're getting out there. We're ending up in somebody's algorithm. So who knows where the show could end up? Or who we could find to come on the show with us, just based off of the show's getting out there. So I was kind of excited about that.
$50 an hour, Tim.
I don't know. You want to? It's not coming out of my pocket. The fuck do you think you are? Has this guy even been on a podcast? Like, I don't want to need to down on people, but come on. You know what I mean? Like, be real. Like, this is a growing podcast. We're starting. What week are we in? We're going on week 10, week 9. This will be what, week 9 right now, or week 8, but we skipped a week. So it's a growing podcast. If you really think in your right mind that a growing podcast could afford to pay you $50 an hour to come on here and sit and talk about the Red Wings for 15 minutes, maybe this is not the podcast for you. I hope you do well and you find your podcast that's willing to pay you that much money. But unfortunately, you're probably not going to find it in the sports podcast market unless you end up with like a Pat McAfee or something, because this is a market that is saturated, and you have to find your niche to even start making money in this. And we do it, just like you said earlier, we do it because we love it. We get to sit down and bullshit for an hour a week with each other about sports and what's going on, and give somebody else. I mean, and you owning the network and having a bunch of different shows, you got people that listen to the network, and this also gives the people who listen to the network, who are fans of the network, an opportunity to have a different show, to listen to a different category of show. You might have people that listen to the wrestling show that also enjoy regular sports, and they go, oh shit, it gives us something else to listen to, and hopefully it grows into something. But unfortunately, we're not at that point yet that we can afford to pay you $50 an hour, sir.
Right.
But if you would like, I'll put the offer out there, and this is a one-time offer. If you want to pay us $25 a week to come on our show and talk about the Red Wings, we'll allow you to pay us $25 a week. This will help get your voice out there, that maybe this will lead to something for you. So think about it that way. It's a pay to play. If you're willing to ask for money from us, I'm going to ask for money for you to get your voice heard. So that's my offer, $25 a week to come on here and give you a chance to talk for 20 minutes about the fucking Red Wings. Yes, I think
hell
so.
of an opportunity.
Anybody else but that guy, just get a hold of us. If you want to talk sports, let's have some fun. That guy, you need to fucking pay us. I don't even know who this guy is. Maybe he's a nice guy. I don't know.
Well,
that's ballsy.
Well, probably, but just shit. Let's be realistic about some stuff. All right, as we start to talk about realism, as we start to wind this episode down, Tim, have you been over
I haven't
to
been in the holiday store yet.
yet?
I actually, maybe I have. I kind of peeked at it a couple weeks ago, so I don't know if you changed anything in the last couple weeks. No, I haven't seen any of the
Well,
I haven't seen any of the
stand by,
Christmas shit
because
yet.
here we have a preview. Okay. Well, this is a preview of what you can find if you go over to pfcholidays.printify.me. And I would like to direct your attention to this section right here. This, my friend, is your Sports Reel red logo Christmas tree skirt. And I went with your Chiefs logo scheme here. We also have a
very nice
Christmas stocking with our classic, our classic one. Then I, of course, made one with the Tigers colors, just because I thought it looked cool. And then wrapping paper.
Oh, no shit.
Listen, you need to tell. Oh yeah, you need to tell Amy that there is Sports Reel wrapping paper in 2 colors. I went with Chiefs and Lions. So yeah, there's wrapping paper, there's ornaments, there's all kinds of cool shit, and more is on the way. So check out pfcholidays.printify.me for all that's exclusively the Christmas related items. I had over 200 items. I went to launch the store. There was only like 54 items in there. I'm like,
oh, what the fuck just happened?
So I've been having to go back in there and re-upload the different things. So more and more will be, this weekend especially. My girlfriend is going out of town this weekend, so I'm going to have some time to really dive into network shit. And as a program, I will be live streaming again on Saturday night at 11 p.m. After hours live.
Yeah, sorry I missed you on that last one.
And that will be on the PFC. It's a late hour, and I understand that. But I did have people tune in, and I got some good feedback from it, and so I'm like, all right, she's going to be out of town again. Fuck, we'll do it again. I ain't got nothing going on. So 11 o'clock. Either on the PFC Facebook page, the PFC YouTube channel, or right here on Riverside.fm beginning at 11 p.m. It is going to be raw, uncensored, so nothing you want to listen to around the kids, for sure. So with that, is there anything else you want to throw out there before we hop out of here this week?
Just the normal. Go Lions, go Chiefs. And then maybe Saturday night, if you put that invite out there again, if I'm awake, maybe I'll come on and jump on you and talk shit for a little bit and get myself in a little trouble. So awesome. I could do that quick. I could probably get myself kicked off the network very quickly.
That's what it's all about. I don't know, man. I feel like you're pretty safe. I feel like you're safe. So.
Pissing people off.
With that, we appreciate everybody.
So, yeah.
Again, that's a them problem, not a you problem. But with that, we appreciate everybody tuning in this week. Go out, be awesome to yourselves and to each other. We'll see you next week, right here on the Sports Reel podcast on the PFC Entertainment Network.